lot of stuff in chat. Apparently Cold Steel 3 suffers from the same thing that Sky FC and CS1 suffer from. That is very unfortunate, but I'll get there. It's amazing for their first try at the Orban system. Yeah, no, the combat's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. I wouldn't even say it's, like, pretty good. I wouldn't say it's terrible. It's just, like, I don't know. The Orban customization is neat. But, I mean, it's not, like, all that. The combat's good enough for me to, like, not stop playing the game. So, I mean, it's good. I do enjoy it, to a sense. But it's not what's keeping me going with the game. Definitely, like, if the characters in the story were just terrible, basically, I probably wouldn't really have the desire to play this game. Put it like that. The combat is good enough to get me from point A to point B. I mean, this game was made in 2004. It was experimental. They tried something new. It's like the first Trails game, so, I mean, you're gonna get that.
Well, that takes care of that.
It's like a Tales of game. Tales of Eternia, I'm currently playing right now. Replaying, I played Eternia a few times. Tales of Eternia is, the combat's good enough. It's not, like, great, but it set aside, it got the Tales of series going. Tales of Eternia actually started what, like, Fantasia's the first game, but Eternia kind of, like, set the standards for what a Tales game should be, both combat-wise and trope-wise, so they did good for that first attempt, and Eternia is still a good game. It holds up well, I think. Some people might disagree. But, the combat, like, I enjoy it, but the combat doesn't keep me going in that game. It's everything else in it. But the combat is a good blueprint for the future, and it's the same for Sky. I haven't played Crossbow, but I can imagine Crossbow improves upon Sky, and then Cold Steel improves upon Crossbow. So Sky is the blueprint that just keeps the series going. That's kind of just how, like, first entries go. Unless they, like, reinvent combat. Like, Final Fantasy mostly reinvents its combat, but, I mean, like, you know. Yeah, exactly. We don't expect perfection. We expect them to make mistakes in the first game. That's how you learn, you know?
We're good to go.
That pawn just ran away, huh? My biggest issues with Cold Steel are Machias himself. Machias versus Husis Gaius being useless in battle. I don't care about the Gaius thing because I never really care about gameplay statistics, but I can definitely see Machias being a little unlikable in the first game. I don't think I liked Machias very much in the first game. He grew on me in the second one, but I don't think I didn't like him in the first game all that much. He's probably like one of my least favorite characters in the first game. Unless I'm forgetting someone. Well, Elisa for like the very early game I didn't like, but I mean, I got over it because the game got over it. But Elisa was like the first character I started to hate for reasons I shouldn't need to go into if you played the very, very beginning of Cold Steel. Other than that, though, yeah, I would agree Machias was at the bottom in Cold Steel. Not even Husis. I don't even think I hated Husis, and that's a surprise because I hate most nobles when they're introduced. Because most nobles are like, you know, the way they are, they're nobles, but even Husis, I don't remember, like, I didn't really hate Husis, surprisingly. I hated Machias more than Husis, which is a surprise because... But, you know, I definitely didn't, like, I didn't hate Husis. I thought Husis was, like, neat to find. You know. My opinions of the characters changed a lot from when I played Cold Steel 1 to 2. I won't say any more than that, but... in Cold Steel 1, my rankings, if I were to rank them in Cold Steel 1, then Cold Steel 2, the rankings would be completely different. That's also really unfair because Cold Steel 1 is a build-up game. It doesn't really have a whole lot of development. It's more like setting up. Oh, I can't hit you with arts. Very unfortunate. Die. Alright, Estelle, you got this. I believe in you. Oh yeah, Elisa is very annoying in that prologue early chapter 1 section, exactly. Again, it's a Trails game. You're not gonna really find the character that's like, you might be interested in the character, but you're not gonna find the character being amazing, at least right now. Like, at least until like the late game of Cold Steel 1, if not Cold Steel 2 for some. Some characters you won't even find yourself really loving until Cold Steel 2, to be honest. Again, I wasn't really super loving Reen until Cold Steel 2. I won't really say why for spoiler reasons, but I'm just gonna say that. I didn't hate Reen in Cold Steel 1, but I wasn't really invested until Cold Steel 2 in this character. So, you know, I mean, it's the kind of Trails thing you expect. By the way, I'm assuming I'm going to the top and that's where, like, the nest is. I would assume. Turned around and I got hit. Please don't kill Estelle. Okay, EP charges. I have so many of them, I should just start using them. I'm too busy talking about Trails. Which is fun. I like having talks like this. Oh, that was a Shining Palm I just ran. Rip. Oh well. Not a big deal. This group I will run from, though. What floor am I even on? I'm losing track here. I could look at the save menu and just see what floor I'm on.
Nicely done.
By the way, I'm talking about Cold Steel very vaguely. For people like, oh, you said you weren't going to talk about Cold Steel. I said I wasn't going to go spoilery into Cold Steel. All I'm talking about is my feelings on the game. I'm talking very vague, out of context stuff. So, you know. My opinions are on my playthroughs, where I talk about them. At the end of both games, I talk about them. I don't really think I did a review at the end of Cold Steel 1 because it was a cliffhanger, but, I mean, my point is, my opinions are there on my playthroughs. And who knows, maybe my opinions will change when I replay them. Because that happens with games sometimes. You have new perspectives and you start to like or hate characters when you replay stuff sometimes. I do appreciate the vagueness. Yeah, it's good. I encourage people not to spoil in my chat and my community, so the last thing I want to do is spoil. That's the last thing I want to do. I think I can hit you with a nest crap, hopefully. Aerial does not work on you. Don't kill me. Okay, good. I think I'm gonna kill this one. I'm not even gonna get to kill that one. I'm just gonna use agates too. Plus, my opinions could be different from other people's, so even me saying, like, oh, I didn't like this character, someone can feel completely different about said character. Yeah, I love Bryce Pappendorf. Good voice actor. Even getting to hear him do battle grunts as Agate is amazing. This is gonna kill Estelle. But I will do this. Give me this death music, or dying danger music, whatever you want to call it.
Now, light of the heavens, feel these battered wings. Radiant clouds.
Why is my mother texting me? Alright, it's not super important. I can respond to her later. Okay. Every element works on you except wind. Oh, it doesn't work on you. Interesting. Well, alright, Arrow Storm doesn't do too much damage. Finally, that thing is done. Now we just need these Arc Casters to go. Also, at some point, I'm gonna need to get up Estelle. Give yourself a heal here. Bum 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 bum. Oh, so close. Call allies. All right, that's like not a big threat. Arrow Storm here is irrelevant as well. Shara, I think you can finish this off. Nice. Since Chloe's basically like worthless now, I'm gonna have her get Estelle up because there's only one of these casters. I could have done this monster chest a lot better, by the way. It's fine, it worked out. Oh wait, Estelle might die again? Oh, she's fine. Although, if this fish decides to attack her, she's not. Yeah, that's like the worst case scenario. Agate? This one. Okay, you resist that delay, that's fine. And we got Shara here, so I'm gonna do this. Oh, to perk you up. I don't want this fish to get a crit. Oh, rip. There, the crit is stolen. Laguna Edge. Just hits both of them. Don't even need the crit. Actually, a good thing you played Cold Steel a long while ago, as some of the references would spoil Sky SC. I mean, yeah. That's true. This chest looks sad and deflated now you've taken all its stuff. I've been thinking about that a lot, because there are a lot of people who are like, there's a big controversy about like, oh, if you play the crossbow games, it spoils Cold Steel, or if you play Cold Steel, it spoils the crossbow games. And I see where people are coming from, but I definitely think that I haven't played the games myself, the crossbow ones, but I think there is a case to be made for multiple perspectives, and I honestly can't really, actually, you know what, I can't really say much until I play the crossbow games, but put it like this, I played Cold Steel 1 and 2, haven't not played any other Trails games at the time, so to me, it didn't really, technically people would say like, oh, Cold Steel 1 and 2 spoils what happens in other games, maybe vaguely, but to me, it means nothing because I haven't played any other Trails games. And sure, when I play these games, you're like, oh, that's why this happened, and that's what this was about in Cold Steel 1 and 2, etc. But at the same time, I don't really think, to me at least, unless it like blatantly tells you something, I feel like it's not really like straight up spoiling, that's just like, hey, a connection. I feel like there's always gonna be some new perspective to experience, I guess. And I feel like, obviously playing Sky 1 is the best way to play the games, but I definitely think that there are going to be there's multiple ways you can enjoy the games, and to me at least, it wouldn't really be a big deal if it was like, oh, this quote-unquote spoiled a game or something. Ooh, Shield 4, so this game has more than level 3s. I mean, I would imagine. That's a word I didn't even know how to pronounce. But, that's... I can't really say much more until I play the crossbow games, but that's how I feel about it. Like, I don't really care about the whole, like, oh, this spoils this, etc., etc. But, you know. I think as long as you play all the games and you understand what's going on, and from what I'm told, as long as everything is played before Cold Steel 3, then, you know, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like, I imagine if you dive into Cold Steel 3 and you haven't played any of the other games, based on what I've heard, you'll just be lost. So, you know, I think what I did wasn't necessarily the best thing, but I'm going back now and I'll replay Cold Steel 1 and 2 before I play 3. So, I mean, I'll still get that perspective. I'll just have a new perspective when I play the Cold Steel duology again. You find the greatest treasure of all, friendship. Ah, friendship. Crossbow came out first, so it doesn't spoil, just shows what happens on the other side. Yeah, exactly. I've heard people say that Crossbow spoils Cold Steel. But that doesn't make sense to me, because first of all, the game's released first. And second of all, like you said, it can just show you a different perspective. The one thing I know is that Cold Steel 2 happens, like, concurrently with Azure or something. The Azure tree that comes up in Cold Steel 2 apparently is a thing in Azure. So, you know. That's what I've been told. So, you know. I agree with that, Flygon. Like, it's just seeing a new perspective. They're in completely different regions where as long as you play both, it's not a big deal. Like, playing Cold Steel 1 before Crossbow isn't a big deal. You're just seeing it from the Erebonian side. From Crossbow, you're seeing it from the Crossbow side. So as long as you play both and you know both of the stories, and they're happening at the same time, so I don't think it's really a spoiler either way. So, you know. I do think playing Sky first is better, obviously, because apparently Crossbow is not the best starting point. You should play Sky before Crossbow. But, you know. About the silver ring? A ring? Why would something like this be here? About that bird just now. That was a crow, I believe. Maybe. It sure looked like one, but what does... Oh, isn't this Armand's ring? It's very, very likely. Let's head back and report. Right. By the way. Okay, it says high places. I was gonna say, how on earth is the player supposed to know to come to Esmolus Tower, because it doesn't tell you. But it says high places. It's implied that a high place is like at the top of a tower. That's kind of implied. I was gonna say if there was no hint, I would throw like a nitpick, but I'll let that slide. High places is a pretty good hint for like, hey, go to the tower. Like, where would be higher than the tower? Cold Steel 1 starts between 0 and Azure, ends towards the beginning of Azure, while Cold Steel starts and ends at the end of Azure. Interesting. I never heard that Cold Steel 1. I didn't know exactly how it worked. I just know that Cold Steel 2 and Azure happen concurrently. Like, Cold Steel 2's finale happens concurrently with Azure because the Azure tree comes up. The Azure tree comes up in Cold Steel 2, and that's a big Azure thing. Obviously, it's called Trails to Azure. But also, in Cold Steel 2, there is a section that is very Crossbow heavy. It's like, oh, you should have played the Crossbow games. Which, back to what we were talking about, like, last stream, that was another Shining Palm, wasn't it? Back to what we were talking about another stream. That is probably the only, like, big part of Cold Steel 2 where I felt... It didn't last very long. It was like an hour long. Hour and a half long. But... that was, like, the only part, quote-unquote, I felt lost. And I was like, oh, I should have played the other games. I mean, I'll understand a lot more when I go through it again. because my plan is definitely, like, it's absolutely like, I'm absolutely gonna replay Cold Steel 1 and 2 after. I'm gonna NG plus both of them. Probably on my own time, just because I don't want to halt the Cold Steel 3 playthrough. Like, immediately when I'm done with Azure, I will speed run an NG plus, probably. I'm gonna watch all the cutscenes, do the side quests, and I'll, like, get all the stuff, but I'm probably gonna, like, I'm mostly doing it for story refresher. Like, maybe I'll play on, like, Nightmare or something if I'm playing NG plus, but, I'm mostly doing it for a quick refresh of, like, what happens and, like, to go through it relatively quick. Just so I can play Cold Steel 3 after Azure, like, on the channel. But I would have finished Cold Steel 2 by the time I get to Cold Steel 3. I'm not necessarily doing, like, another playthrough just because they're long games. I don't have time.